All right, so there was a point around 2000, so I must have been in the middle of my high school years. And even though I know you did, I don't remember it happening. I don't think you ever told me, but around 2000, you tried getting sober. So what led you to trying to get sober in 2000, and what happened with that?
Well, Chris, my disease progressed and progressed. I was drinking on a nightly basis. I was a professor at night. I was a medical transcriptionist during the day. And I was also in a PhD program. So when I finished the PhD, and I was blacking out and coming to every day. Now I have to tell you, I was madly in love with your stepfather, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He was my soulmate, whatever he really was. He was he was a drinker too, but he was a very functional one. He could drink and nurse a drink for 5 hours. I could not do that.
Yeah.
And he would just try to he would lock up the booze in the house. We had these various things we would do. I would hide it. It was insanity.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And one,
real quick, I just want to stop you because you mentioned, he was very functional. Now, that's one of the things, like when we talk about functional drinkers or functional alcoholics, for some people, the things you just listed, you were going to school, you were a medical transcriber, you were in a PhD program. Like a lot of people would look at that and say you were functioning, right?
oh, I was.
Yeah, and that's and
Well,
that's
I forgot the little .25 Xanax I'd take in the morning to get up so I could do all three of those jobs.
right. Yeah, and that's one of those things. And so real quick, like how many times during this time did your brain say, you don't have a problem, you're still holding it together, you're still working, going to school, doing this and doing that? Like, our brains tell us that, right? They say you're
Yeah,
fine.
every day at 4 o'clock it told me that.
Yeah.
Happy hour. Every day at 4.
Yeah. So in the morning we realize we have a problem, but at 4 o'clock, no, we just got everything
That
done
was
for the day.
over.
Yeah.
And that was for about 10 years. 10 years. Every morning I knew. But
Yeah.
by 4, I was normal again.
Right? Exactly. And then we just do the same cycle over and over and over again. So,
Christopher,
yeah.
never got in trouble. I had straight A's. I was cum laude. Police did pull me over for speeding, and I was drunk, and they didn't give me a ticket.
Yeah.
I was invincible, so no, I was not a drunk.
Yeah.
No.
Yep, that's what our brain tells us. So what led you, what made you think that you needed help in 2000?
Inside, when I was alone, there was this black hole.
Mm-hmm.
You and I were not close. Nicole, your sister, and I were not close. My marriage. When you're drinking so much, you have blinders on, and there were things going on that I kind of knew, didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Drink some more, go away. Okay, it just wasn't good. One day I woke up and I remember he was mowing the lawn, and I just said, I can't take this one more day. So I called an outpatient treatment center. Oh, son, I forgot. I was running a treatment center myself. By that time, I had just graduated.
Uh-huh.
And another for adolescents at a boot camp. I started a treatment center there. And still drinking and getting promoted. Just an FYI for everybody. I said I couldn't do this. So this is how dedicated I was to getting sober. So I called the outpatient clinic. They started me at night from 6 to 9 at night, 4 days a week, 3 hours a day. And during the day, I worked at the treatment center I was running. Nobody knew that I was in treatment. Nobody knew I was an alcoholic. As I was in treatment, we were talking about priming and conditioning, about how I couldn't be around alcohol because your brain, the dopamine, increases.
So for layman's terms, that's the old saying that if you keep going to the barber shop, you're going to get a haircut. Because if you keep being around it, it's going to happen. Okay, continue.
Yeah. My ex-husband kept saying he probably would stop. But the booze never got out of the house, and I could smell him once in a while when he'd come in bed while I was in treatment. And I loved the smell of alcohol, and I could smell it in the bed, and it would just drive me insane. Mm-hmm. Okay? But I went to a meeting. Huh?
Yeah. So in your opinion, it's really important for your partner, your spouse, people you live with, when you're trying to get sober, that, they assist you by not having it around, right?
kind of important.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing.
Right? Yeah.
If you can't do that, I should have went to a sober living home till I got sober longer. No, it's vital.
Yeah. All right. So how long, and you said did you check out AA meetings or?
Oh, I went every day of the week and worked. Yeah.
You're a busy lady.
I went every day of the week. So I went 7 days a week, loved my AA, loved it. However, did get a sponsor, but I didn't like what I was hearing. I didn't like what I was hearing in therapy. Like, Carrie, this isn't going to work if your husband keeps drinking. They didn't know I was different. Our love was special.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And those who don't know, that's sarcasm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's sarcasm.
So.
Yeah, I was smarter than the therapist.
Yeah.
And the sponsor.
I gotta imagine that's difficult. You just graduated and got a PhD, right?
Yeah.
So that's gotta make you feel pretty smart. And now you're going and having other people tell you what's wrong with you mentally. It must be really hard to stay open-minded because that's what we teach people, right? At our treatment centers, we're teaching people, be open-minded, be willing, right? And when you have a degree, kind of makes you think that nobody's really that much smarter than you. So.
Right. So when they push me, they could. Do you know who you're talking to? No.
Right.
You do not know my love. No.
Yeah. So how long did you end up staying sober that time?
About 6 months, and then I started drinking myself to death. He wouldn't quit. He wouldn't help. He said it was my problem, not his.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So 2000-ish. So for me, growing up, I remember my mom telling me, and probably because she had a PhD and stuff like that. But I remember you drunkenly telling me, "Don't ever drink because it runs in the family." And I'm like, "Get away, drunk lady," because for me, I had no intentions on ever drinking. The way I grew up, what I saw, what I was around, how miserable it made me, I had no plans whatsoever to ever touch the stuff. So during high school, I was a triathlete. I played 3 sports a year. I was football, wrestling, track. While everybody was out partying on the weekends and everything, I was playing video games. Me and my friends would just play video games, and I would hang out with a girlfriend, go see movies, and just do all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I turned down many parties, and I think it kind of helped me because Las Vegas has a big religious following of the Mormon religion, so a lot of those kids that I was hanging out with, they didn't drink anyways. So throughout high school, I never even touched this stuff. But so it was about 2003 for me when I first had a drink, because it was the end of my senior year. That's when I graduated. Now I feel old. 14 years ago. That was when I had my first drink. And my first drink, so what happened with me was I went through 2 breakups. One of them was a 2-year-long relationship. The one I thought I was in love with and gonna marry, right? You remember her. And
yeah.
And I split up. We split up, and then I got into another relationship. She cheated on me, and for me, throughout my life, I had a lot of anger issues too. I don't know if you were aware of this. You must have been. I had a lot of anger issues and a lot of resentments, just towards the world, even not just towards you, just towards the world. I always thought that my life wasn't fair, and after that breakup at the end of my senior year, I remember I didn't want to feel anything. I was tired of all these emotions, how intense everything was. I didn't know how to deal with it. Sports season was over, so I couldn't take it out on the football field or anything. And I remember it just popping in my head, I heard that alcohol makes you not feel anything. So it wasn't until the end of my senior year when I got drunk for the first time. And, it's crazy because I can still remember it like it was yesterday. I can remember getting drunk for the first time, right? I was a kid who had anxiety, I had anger, I had fears, I had, every negative emotion you could imagine. But when I got drunk, all that stuff went away. And I remember this thought. I remember saying to myself, no wonder why my mom does this. I said, no wonder why. I forgave you in that moment. I was like, this makes sense. I would do it too. If she feels half of what I'm feeling, this is what I feel. This makes sense. And for me, that summer, I continued to go to parties, and it was never like, hey, let's go chill and have some beers at the party. It's like, where's the hard stuff? Because I want that feeling that I had that first time. So for me, it escalated really quick. It wasn't just nursing a couple drinks and stuff like that. I wanted to get to that point again and then kind of go on. And it was within the next year or two when so this must have been right before you got sober. So for me, it was I went to college, for a semester, and it was normal to drink there. We party on Tuesday nights. I remember we'd like take shots before English class and just party and all that stuff was normal. But when I moved back after a semester, I noticed that I was kind of drinking just to deal with life. It was my first time being an adult, dealing with the stresses of work, dealing with money, dealing with more relationships and breakups and all that stuff. And I must have been around 19 or 20 years old when me and my best friend came down. And that was the first and only time that me and you drank together. And I remember, I was like, finally, me and my mom have something that we can do together. Right? And how sick and twisted is that? I was like,
major sick.
Yeah. I was like, this is going to be our thing. We can drink together. And yeah, that was a bad night. That was a bad night. So,
good.
Yeah, so you remember that night. So from that time, now because that was right before you got sober this last time, right? That was probably within a year.
Oh yeah, months.
So what led to you getting sober after that? What happened? What series of events happened to you getting sober?
Well, in about 2003, I started working here at Touchstone. Kind of embarrassing to say. Uh-huh. And this is kind of a treatment center where we treat working class people. So where I'd worked before was with adolescents. So mind you, I'm running groups. I don't drink during the day. I'm a doctor, so it's different for me. I might be a heavy drinker. Oh, I think they'd misdiagnosed me. I'm okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm running groups for women, and I'm looking at these people, and I see myself. Okay? Mm-hmm. Another thing, the disease progresses, so I'm calling in late to work. I'm coming to work and I can smell the vodka on myself. Well, a secretary, because you get hostages, so any secretary I hired was my hostage. They knew I drank, but they would, if I was late, they'd cover me. Mm-hmm. Said, I'm no longer going to cover you. And that was my moment. I was going to lose what I loved, which was psychology, working. It was over. So that's the day I went and told my boss. We made a plan, and I've been sober ever since. 90 and 90 sponsor.
Yeah. And I want to talk some more about that, but like real quick, to kind of finish this segment, like I don't know if you can talk a little bit more to it because maybe you have more experience with it, treating more clients and stuff. So like for me as a child, growing up with an alcoholic parent, my thought is, and obviously I learned from this later, but my thought is she should get sober for me, right? I'm her child. She should get sober for me, right? But for you, it was actually the threat of your job that pushed you to getting sober. And what I'm saying is that I have experience with that too because I didn't get sober until my son, your grandbaby, was 3. So I eventually saw that, and it was different for me too, So why do you think that is? Why do you think that it's that one thing? Do you think it's just the timing? Do you think that maybe our value system is screwed up? Like, why do you think it takes a certain little...
No, I think that we're inherently self-centered. We're just inherently self-centered. Uh-huh. And it's not just addicts, it's human beings in general. Our kids are going to forgive us. They're always going to love us. That's one thing. They're never going to... they're going to hate us, but they love us. That's it. No. Self-centeredness at the extreme, ego at the extreme. It was something I'd worked for 10 years was going to be stripped away from me.
Yeah, no.
It's not good, but I want me to be truthful or lie.
Yeah, no, and absolutely, I never thought about it like that. And that's one of the problems with this thing, how they call it a family disease, because it's so hard not to enable somebody, right? But in our mind, the mind of the person who is addicted, our mind tells us they're going to love us no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what, they're going to love us. I can steal from them. I can lie to them. I can verbally abuse them. I can do all these things because at the end of the day, I'm still going to have their love, right?
Well, hang on. It works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
unfortunately
For years.
a little too much, and you know, pretty soon when we talk about me getting sober, like that's when it kind of shifted for me, when I kind of realized that maybe that wasn't the case anymore, you know. So.